So Marvel keep Blade's story more self-contained, or should he interact with other Marvel heroes like Doctor Strange? So he just his movie focus on just him and what he's doing behind the scenes on the MCU, or do you think like kind of like how Spider-Man he's always involved with other heroes, like his plot is driven by what other heroes have done, i.e., Iron Man and Doctor Strange.
I feel like it should be start out self-contained.
Yeah,
because right now the MCU's in a different phase, and they need to focus less on the team ups and more on the characters themselves. That way, we have the character, we have the backstory, we know what's going on with them. That way, when the team up does happen, it means a little bit more to us since we kind of got that foundation of the character out of the way.
yeah.
Because the thing is, I feel like the MCU in the previous phases, even when we're talking about Infinity War and even before that, they kind of rushed some of like the team ups. Like we knew what point they were getting to. We knew we were getting to Infinity War. We knew we were getting End Games, and it kind of rushed their storylines along too fast for us to kind of know about the character. But now with that they're in this different phase, we can focus more on the character and less on the team ups. You said yes, MCU announcements?
Oh yeah, just a few, man, just a few. So obviously the Blade reboot, we have a new director and a new direction. So the new director is what I'm assuming that's Jeymes Samuel. Samuel's okay. So a question, are you familiar with Jeymes Samuel?
If you name one of his movies or movies he's done,
I think I have one for you. Let me see. Hold on. I had it in my notes, but I can't find it. I don't feel like digging.
He sounds familiar, but I don't think.
Let's see. I'm gonna get some for you. The Harder They Fall.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The Book of Clarence.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, I know. I looked them up. The Harder They Fall. Yeah, definitely. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Book of Clarence.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, those are the big ones. Die by Dawn.
I think I've seen that too.
Yeah. So he has some. Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit of his background. So let's see how Samuel's background could shift the tone of Blade. Known for his work on The Harder They Fall, could he take in a more grounded, gritty direction? I think so. Absolutely think so.
Thing with Blade is we already have some groundwork laid by the previous Blade movie. So what are people expecting now that we're gonna go into this new direction? I know there was some pushback. I know there was supposed to be a release like last year, but I guess it's being pushed till next year.
Either next year or the 2026 or something like that.
Honestly, by now we should all be fine with that. I mean, if you're gonna take the time to make it right, we can't be mad at you.
Yeah, don't rush it.
Yeah, man, shit, we got plenty of time.
Yeah, don't put it out just for the sake of putting it out. Like, do it right.
And the thing is, when you have these big name actors too, when you have these Academy Award-winning actors, you have to set the pace for them. You have to set them up to make them look good, especially when they're doing superhero roles. You can't just put them in the film and expect them to carry the film. You got to put the right aspects, put the right elements there for them to kill it. And that's how you gonna keep this storyline going. That's how we're gonna keep this thing rolling. The MCU.
Agreed. Great point. And how do you think Blade will fit into the larger MCU? Like, do you think this Blade reboot movie will finally bring supernatural like beings fully into the MCU? As far as supernatural as like he's a vampire at that aspect of it.
I most definitely think, because I know, like, isn't Blade part of the what is that group? I forget. It's like it's with like Knight Rider and
he is, yes. Yeah.
Midnight Suns or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not gonna say it's immediately gonna bring like that to the forefront, but I think, like you're saying, it's gonna bring like supernatural aspects to it. I mean, we already got like what is it? The magical kind of like realm of the MCU. Because we were talking about it a couple episodes ago. There's the MCU, and then there's different aspects of the MCU. There's like it's kind of like the Captain America type, like the heroic, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have like the magical stuff, and then you have like the, we're out in space, we're, Guardians of the Galaxy type stuff.
Yep.
But we never really had like supernatural being,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's gonna push that then with Blade being in this now entered into the MCU, or at least this version of Blade.
Yep. The closest thing I could think of was it was like came out around Halloween. Forgot what it was called for some reason. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, this would bring that element. I mean, he was teased at the end of
The Eternals.
his voice was at the end of Eternals. So yeah, man, we'll see. I think I think it'll bring another, like you said, aspect to the MCU, more grounded, kind of like how like Daredevil and Luke Cage was, but like also this like more of a supernatural aspect to it. So Blade obviously is a fan favorite character. Um, do you worry about the backlash that the MCU would get if they don't do it right?
I mean, I know that the MCU would recover from it if if this movie didn't end up. It's gonna be a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if this movie doesn't, if it's not successful as expected, I think there will be some backlash for the MCU. I know they'll recover from it because I know they got some projects coming up that are gonna, blow us away like they usually do. But as for a character as strong as Blade, I think they just need to do it right. Think about it. Blade is kind of like the first kind of like Marvel character that a lot of us kind of started with. A lot of us from this generation anyway,
Mm-hmm.
kind
Yeah,
of like started
yeah.
with us.
Wesley Snipes, yeah,
Back in like what, like mid '90s? Well, no, maybe like late '90s.
it's late '90s, late
Late
'90s.
'90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before like Spider-Man, before like Fantastic Four,
X-Men,
he's kind of
yeah,
like the first Marvel. So for this generation, it's gonna probably we're gonna like compare it to like the original Blade movies, and
yeah, yeah, and
that's
that's
why
yeah.
that's why with this one they kind of have to get it right. But they really have to get it right.
Yeah. And you hit on like my next question, what I want to ask you and our listeners, like, do you think Jeymes Samuel can bring a fresh take to the Blade, or bring a fresh take to Blade that resonates with fans of both the MCU and the original Blade trilogy?
That's a good question. I feel like you kind of said it before. It's this Blade's gonna be a little more grounded. Like we'll understand him a little bit better
Mm-hmm.
based on his movies, Samuel's movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name, right?
Yep.
Based on his movies, I feel like we'll get to kind of be able to see a different type of Blade, but be honestly to Blade him a little bit better, especially in this aspect of the MCU. So I would have to say yes.
Yeah. And the actor that's playing Blade is
Oh yeah.
if he stays on, is a great actor. So we shall see with that. Another question I have for you and also our listeners, should Marvel keep, and we already kind of talked about this, should Marvel keep Blade's story more self-contained, or should he interact with other Marvel heroes like Doctor Strange? So his movie focus on just him and what he's doing behind the scenes on the MCU? Or do you think like kind of like how Spider-Man, he's always involved with other heroes, like his plot is driven by what other heroes have done, i.e. uh Iron Man and Doctor Strange.
I feel like it should be start out self-contained
Yeah.
because right now the MCU's in a different phase, and they need to focus less on the team ups and more on the characters themselves. That way, we have the character, we have the backstory, we know what's going on with them. That way, when the team up does happen, it means a little bit more to us since we kind of got that foundation of the character out of the way.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I feel like the MCU in the previous phases, even when we're talking about Infinity War and even before that, they kind of rushed some of like the team ups. Like they were, we knew what point they were getting to. We knew we were getting to Infinity War. We knew we were getting End Games, and they kind of rushed their storylines along too fast for us to kind of know about the character. But now with that they're in this different phase, we can focus more on the character and less on the team ups.
Yep. Facts. Agreed. Yeah, couldn't have said it better. I agree. I think it, like you said, the first one I think should be a little more self-contained, his own story. obviously they're going to hint at other aspects of the MCU, but we've never really touched on the supernatural aspect. The closest we've gotten to it has been the multiverse of madness. I think kind of a little bit, but and there was there was another MCU. It was like a series, like a wolf. I forgot what the hell it was called, with the werewolf.
Oh,
Um,
I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
it's yeah, it slipped
I
out
didn't
of my
watch it,
mind.
but
So they kind of touched on it, but I think for Blade, do a more deeper dive into that aspect of the MCU. Bring another element to the MCU. We've been focusing so much on the multiverse. I think this movie can just bring another element to it, kind of like how Black Panther brought like the Wakanda element to the MCU. I think Blade can bring another element to the MCU. You know, Guardians brought in the galaxy, the space aspect. You know, different characters do different things. So I would like to see his story be a little more self-contained, but it shows the impact that it can have on the larger MCU. And
what
then
are you wearing?
hmm? No, it's a sweatshirt. What was up? Something wrong
Oh,
with
it's a sweatshirt. I was
it?
like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a hoodie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, my bad. I'm like, well,
no, you're good.
is something wrong?
I was like, feels like I just been thinking, I was like, is it? Never mind. You know,
like a weird yeah. But this is more this part of the segment is more suited for like our TikTok and YouTube shorts, but I
yeah.
pose a question.
Okay.
Uh can James Samuel can James Samuel's take on Blade change the MCU forever, or will fans prefer the Wesley Snipes version?
I feel like we're in a kind of like time where we could get new fans liking new things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know people are still gonna feel partial to the old Blade movies and things because Wesley Snipes killed it, but I think we're we're so far removed from those movies that we're ready for a fresh new take. We're ready for something different. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like since we're moving in this direction, I feel like that we'll be able to enjoy these movies that are upcoming for Blade.
I agree. I feel like nostalgia will always play a factor because everything was better when you were a kid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like it's how it always is. That's why, like our generation, Tobey Maguire will always be better than Tom Holland. That's just all who are. That's how most people in our generation feel, just because life was so much more simple as a child, and and we kind of get tainted by the nostalgia aspect from our older things like that. So it all depends. If people can go into it with an unbiased opinion, I feel like this take on Blade can be much better. We have higher budgets, we have more advanced in technology, we have the Wesley Snipes version of Blade to build on. So this has everything. It has everything to be better. So we'll see if James saying you can make it better, and then we'll see. I mean, people will show how they feel about it in a couple of years.